going to look at significant debate in recent days over the promotional poster for this year's St. Patrick's Day Parade in Shannon. The design, which promotes the theme Celebrate the Cultures of Shannon, has sparked strong reactions online, I think it's fair to say. Some have praised the focus on inclusivity, while others have questioned whether it shifts the emphasis away from Ireland's National Day and its traditions. Parade organised by Shannon Community Partnership in conjunction with Clare County Council, and organisers say the aim is to celebrate the diversity and community spirit of the town. To discuss all of this, I'm joined on the line by the Chair of Shannon Community Partnership, Don O'Sullivan. Don, thank you for being with us on Morning Focus today.
And glad to be with you again this week, Alan. You've promoted me, by the way. I'm the Vice Chair. I'm acting as Chair just at the moment, but yeah, Vice Chair. But I'm delighted with the promotion.
Don, there's been a lot of discussion online, as I've mentioned, over the parade and the promotional poster. I suppose before we get into, can you explain the thinking behind this year's theme, Celebrate the Cultures of Shannon? What the aim of that was?
Yeah, so what's actually happened here, Alan, is something that is not related at all to the theme of the parade. Wings, Waves and Wonders is the theme of the parade, and has been from the very beginning. What has actually happened in the last few days is that a group of what I'll call them as online agitators, and they're kind of a known small group with a very wide reach, unfortunately. What they've done is they've taken one of the many posters and invitations, I suppose, that we've sent out to everybody to join in our parade. What they've done is they've taken that and they've presented it to their group of people as the theme for our parade and the sole theme of our parade.
So do you think that misconstruing is intentional, or because there are a number of posters promoting the parade that something has been lost in translation?
It's intentional. Absolutely, it's intentional. And we know, so the people that are promoting this, the incorrect, I mean, it is one of the posters. And I have to say, just before that, Shannon is unique in so many ways as a town. I mean, it's a very new town, and we're very welcoming, we're very open, and we're very inclusive. And the town has been built, and I know we joked as we finished the interview the other day saying, Jerry, who was on, is from Limerick. I've had a Limerick background myself. The town is less than 70 years old. And it has been built by people who have come from every corner of Ireland and from all across the world. So it is very unique, actually, as a town, as one of Ireland's newest towns. So for us to be inclusive is not unusual. It's what we do. So the parade, no different probably than many parades in towns and cities across Ireland, will have a multicultural and a multinational element in it. It's not unusual to see people from other countries in parades. Yeah,
and sorry to cut across you, but you've touched on the, I suppose, unique element of Shannon being having a very international makeup, and I guess that's enhanced because Shannon Airport is there as well, which helps in that regard. It makes Shannon a very international town. It makes it more likely, I guess, that people from all around the world will make the town their home.
Exactly. And that's the critical thing there, what you said there, Alan, is they've made Shannon their home. So, we're lucky to have so many people from so many places, as I say, Ireland and across. And I suppose that what's happened here, and, it's actually, some elements of it have got very personal and are with the Gardaí at the moment. So, what's happening here is very definitely organised, and it is meant deliberately to take from the fact that we're going to have the most wonderful parade, a very large parade, I might say. And we've a volunteer group that's been working on this for the last 6 months and more, led by Joanne. And, the incredible work that this volunteer group are doing is the focus of what we're looking towards on Tuesday next. I mean, it's the biggest parade we'll have. We've more than 50 registered community groups at this stage. And really the parade, as I say, Wings, Waves and Wonders, celebrates Shannon, celebrates who we are, which includes everybody.
Don, some of the criticism is centred around this particular poster, and I'm sure part of your response will be again to highlight the fact that this is just the one they're focusing on as one of many posters that are promoting the Shannon Parade, but they're arguing the poster appears to shift the focus away from Irish heritage on what is Ireland's National Day, that the Irish tricolour was marginalised in the design. Was that ever how do you respond to those concerns? Was that ever the intention of that particular poster, one of, which you've touched on a number of posters promoting the parade?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, as I say, because this group, Alan, their focus, and these people go looking for this kind of stuff, but their focus is clearly on attracting people into stuff that they can talk about. The invitation, the parade, or the actual poster itself, was an invitation to many cultures of Shannon and environs to join us on the parade. It's not the primary poster used; it's one of the posters. And as I say, if they were to go and look at what we're actually offering in terms of advertising for the parade, they'd find other posters, including the main theme of the parade, which they've chosen not to do. But as I say, for us, there's enough airtime as far as I'm concerned, and we're really concerned only now with putting on the best parade that we can and including everybody. So it's
that's it. The
inclusion, what they want, they're looking to not be inclusive,
and including everybody. Don, do you believe it's possible to celebrate, to tick both boxes, celebrate Irish identity while at the same time also recognising the diversity within a town like Shannon?
Absolutely. And first and foremost, it is our national day, and that's what we're celebrating. But I think it's got to be inclusive, and in a town like Shannon, as I say, which is unique in how it has developed over the last 70 years. You can't ignore the fact that there are so many people from so many places, as I say, all through Ireland as well as outside of Ireland, and it is possible to do both, and we will be doing both. And as I say, for us, it's all about the parade now, and this distraction, which is actually turned very personal, and as I say, is with the Gardaí, is literally a distraction. We're now concentrating on getting the best parade and the biggest parade we've had for a very long time.
Something that occurred to me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that occurred to Don when I first heard about this story, and you could apply it to other similar scenarios as well, is that those who are, how should we put it, not fond of multiculturalism in a country, they fear that their own identity is going to be erased, or whatever word you want to use, that one of the criticisms they would have with people arriving from other cultures and other countries is that they feel they don't integrate, and that they will, stick to their own culture and try and make that the predominant culture. But yet then, on the flip side of that, when people arrive from other countries and do try to integrate and take on some of the prevailing culture, like if you come from another country and move to Shannon and take part in the St. Patrick's Day parade and be proud of your own culture whilst also delving and enjoying Irish culture, they're not fond of that either.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Alan. I think these people will do what they do, and they mostly come, actually, as well it must be said, from outside of this area. The people who are at the helm of this, they're known, and they don't come from Shannon or Clare. They just try to drive this agenda that they've got. We, as again, I said, we are a town of many counties, many countries, and so it's only natural that the parade would reflect that. So, whilst it is, as I say, it's still going to be on our National Day, but it is celebrating who we are as Shannon. And that's, as I say, those people will have their agenda, and, let them have it. As far as I'm concerned, we'll have, as I say, fantastic parade, largest we've had in quite a long time. And it'll, culminate in Shannon Town Centre with lots of fun, lots of music, and people just having a good day.
And the partnership did release I would say, a strong defiant statement yesterday, and I'm sure one that heartened those who live in Shannon but have come from elsewhere, be it a long time ago or more recently. You've said you won't allow online bullies to distract from the event. Do you think it's important, not just for yourselves in terms of receiving what you feel is unfair criticism, but to show that you care about, as I say, people who have arrived from elsewhere to make Shannon and Ireland their home, that you have their backs? And that you don't back down when faced with this kind of criticism and controversy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as part of this last few days, we've considered, very carefully how we might respond to it and what we might do. And so that response is part of what we said is, important. We're not going to be distracted. We will move ahead with the parade. And those people, as I say, will do what they do, and they'll do it to somebody else tomorrow. And I think unless we stand up to this, and most especially, as I say, in a town like Shannon, which is so diverse by its nature, we've got to be able to say, no, we're not going to put up with this. we intend to do what we set out to do proudly, and we will do that on Tuesday next.
Beyond social media, what kind of feedback have you been receiving from people living in Shannon, regardless of where their origins are from, or even further afield in Clare, the country, to this particular story and the plans for the parade?
Yeah, I suppose it has been so negative at one level, but so positive at another level, because I think when something like this comes up, and we've seen it in the last few days, people rally around. People who are local and who understand what we're doing here has been absolutely fantastic. We really are seeing galvanizing of people going, ignore all that nonsense, and it is nonsense, and let's go for what we got to do here, and as I say, have that parade. So yeah, we feel that the people locally are very supportive of what we're doing, and it really is an outside distraction, and we're considering it like that.
Okay. We do appreciate you joining us to address this controversy, distraction, whatever term you want to use. But Don O'Sullivan, Vice Chair, Acting Chair of Shannon Community Partnership, thank you so much for being with us on Morning Focus.
And thank you very much, Anna.
Thank you, Don.